I thank Ms. Cliff for her briefing. I shall now make a statement in my capacity as the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia. His Excellency Secretary General Mr. Antonio Guterres, His Excellency Mr. Ban Ki-moon, Ms. Sarah Cliff, distinguished ministers, excellencies, and representatives of the Security Council members. This pandemic has profound impact to international peace and security. The pandemic has raised the fragility of conflict-affected countries. Some of them are very close to falling back into crisis. Many unresolved conflict drivers may add to the heightening of tension, from inequalities to weak governance, from rampant poverty to poor health infrastructure, from collapsing economy to food shortages. This unprecedented disruption may reverse years of peace-building efforts made. At the same time, the pandemic complicates the work of UN peacekeepers and mediation efforts on the ground. Peace processes may run off the rails. Between February and now, at least 69 countries have decided to postpone their elections, some of which are critical part of a peace process. All in all, peace building and sustaining peace tasks have become even more daunting. Excellencies, with that in mind, allow me to underline 3 important points. First, sustaining peace must be a part of our comprehensive response to this pandemic. It is imperative for us to continue supporting these countries in conflict to take a holistic approach in addressing the interlinkages between health crisis and its implication, from socio-economic to peace security. Our support should focus on strengthening institutional capacities and resources of conflict-affected countries. I should also address unequal access to public health goods and COVID-19 treatments in conflict-affected countries. Competition to acquire COVID-19 vaccine once it exists will only leave them further behind. Moreover, advancing sustaining peace agenda requires inclusive participation of local stakeholders. They have a better understanding on risks of conflict that must be addressed. Conducive international enabling environment is also important to sustain peace during this pandemic, including in my region, Southeast Asia. For this reason, ASEAN foreign ministers issued a joint statement on the 8th of August 2020. The statement of ASEAN underlined the importance of the principle embedded in ZOC1 and TEC for the maintenance of peace and stability in the region amidst current geopolitical dynamics. Second, sustaining peace requires synergy between works of all UN systems. The UN system could no longer work in silo. The UN must respond in coherent manner, harnessing the strength of its different organs. The UN should integrate conflict-sensitive approach into its pandemic response. The Security Council must play its role to ensure the full implementation of Resolution 2532. General cessation of hostilities and humanitarian pause will enable timely delivery of aid and COVID-19 treatment to civilians in conflict. As those directly on the ground, UN peacekeeping operations have the capacity to monitor risks of conflicts that may be exacerbated exacerbated by this pandemic, serving as part of early warning system. Meanwhile, UN agencies, funds, and programs have technical capacities to address specific conflict drivers during this pandemic. The Peacebuilding Commission, PBC, as the lead UN body in sustaining peace, plays a vital role in coordinating responses across the UN principal organs and beyond, including regional organizations, international financial institutions, and private sectors. The PBC must make use of its advisory role to develop a comprehensive UN strategy to deal with the long-term impacts of COVID-19. Our effort to sustain peace during COVID-19 serve as a valuable input for the review of UN peacebuilding architecture. Third, sustaining peace required smart use of resources. The latest Secretary General report on peacebuilding and sustaining peace documented a decline in the share of ODA dedicated to peacebuilding in conflict-affected countries. The majority of these countries are now faced with a hard choice between spending on health infrastructure or peacebuilding. Therefore, it is important that we optimize the use of limited resources at hand. Partnership between the UN and the international financial institution is vital. At the same time, we need to continue thinking outside the box to explore innovative funding for peacebuilding. The South-South and triangular cooperation and involvement of philanthropists and private sectors. Excellencies, the pandemic may aggravate some conflict dynamics, but I'm an optimist. History taught us that crisis may also create an opening for peace. Let us use this momentum to better sustain peace. I thank you. I resume my function as President of the Council. I now give the floor to His Excellency